We've been receiving a lot of questions lately about fly fishing for common carp, and specifically about what flies we use for clear water situations where carp are a little bit spooky. This is one of our favorite flies. This is the Medusa. Here's how you tie it. Start off with a Daiichi 4640. This is a size 12. This is quickly becoming our go-to carp hook. It's got a 60-degree bend at the hook eye. Get the hook secured in your vise and start a base of 140 denier ultra thread in red, just behind that 60-degree bend. Trim off your excess and grab a small bottle of super glue. You're going to add a dab of super glue right on that bend on the front side of the hook shank so that we can secure some barbell eyes on the front. For the weight on this fly, you can use barbell eyes or you can use bead chain eyes in any size or color, depending upon the water you're fishing and how quickly you need that fly to get down to the bottom. I'm going to use a larger barbell eye for this fly. These are Hagen's specially manufactured barbell eyes in a nickel color. Bring the eyes to the bend of the jig hook, capture it on with 3 wraps, straighten them out, and then put 3 wraps over the top to secure it. Make figure 8 wraps around the center portion of the barbell eyes and the hook shank to set it into place. Another thing I love about these specialty jig hooks is their ability to hold barbell eyes and bead chain eyes on the front side. Next, I'm going to trim a small piece of chenille. The piece is going to be about 2 inches in length. It doesn't really matter because you can trim the tail at the end. Begin tying in this chenille tail right on the back side of the barbell eye and bring thread wraps over the top, keeping it on the underside of the hook shank as you progress towards the backside bend of the hook, capturing the chenille down the entire way. Take a couple wraps down the bend of the hook shank before bringing your thread back up past the point of the hook. There we're going to start our Medusa portion of the fly with some red super floss. I'm going to take 1 strand of super floss and trim it into 3 reasonably equal sections. I'm going to tie one of each of these sections, that's designated points, along the hook shank as we go back up towards the hook eye. Begin right under the hook point by capturing the first section at the center portion of the super floss, wrapping front to back over the top of the center of that piece, and then straightening out the super floss section and bringing the thread from back to front to create a perpendicular section of super floss on the back side of the hook. After you secure that first piece in, move your thread forward to about the center portion of the hook shank, where we're going to tie in another piece. And for this middle portion, I like to just capture it right in the center and make pretty strong wraps downward to make it point straight up on the fly. And then I like to add a few wraps in front of the super floss and behind the super floss to further accentuate the direction for which I've established that individual piece. Again, you might want this piece to hang off to the side or be exactly like the first piece that was tied in, and that's perfectly fine. My final piece is going to go just up behind the hook eye. I'm going to again capture this piece at the center portion, and I like to try and keep it a little bit opposite of that middle piece just to cover a little different territory on the fly. We don't want pieces really overlapping or sticking out in the same area or at the same angle as another piece of super floss. We want them to all be prominent on their own, showing individually on the hook shank. So just maneuver these pieces around with your fingers and add thread wraps. Try and get them to stick to where you think they look good, and then set them in place and move forward to the next section. After you get that final piece of super floss tied in, go ahead and do a whip finish or half hitch right behind the barbell eyes, and then trim your thread. Next, I'm going to take the Medusa out of the vise, and I'm going to trim my chenille tail to length. I prefer just a little bit of a shorter tail. I want to have a very sparse, small profile fly. So I'm going to trim this tail to be relatively short and then I'm going to take a lighter and singe the back side of it just to create a little taper. Not necessary, merely cosmetic. This might be one of the greatest carp flies you own. I hope it helps you catch some common carp and other species on your home waters. These are all the materials you'll need to tie the Medusa Carp Fly. Head down to your local fly shop and make sure you ask for larva lace by name. If they don't have larva lace, make sure you send them to hagensfish.com. They can always call the shop and make sure they stock their shelves with the highest quality synthetic fly tying materials that are on the market right now. We have a growing social media following, a growing YouTube channel, and just can't thank everybody enough for all their support, all the comments that you leave on the videos, and all the times that you share our videos with your networks. It really helps to get good flies into boxes of anglers all around the world. Also, send us a message if you have any questions about larva lace materials and how to get them. We love talking fly fishing with anglers from around the world and hope we can help you out with your questions in the near future. Until then, here's to tight lines and well-tied flies.